DHTV. Hello, everybody. It's that time of night on a Sunday, every other Sunday night thing. It's Disability Horizons Television. Yes, we're back. We're live. It is live as well. Hurrah. I'm Mick, the Mouth Scarlet, who, as you know, can talk for England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, and probably the rest of the planet. I am also joined by my partner in crime, the wonderful Zec, the Tech Richardson. Say hello, Zec.
Say hello, Zach. Good evening, everyone. It's good to be back. He says he can talk for this country. That's why we left the EU, because Mick used to talk for them as well.
Annoyingly, I did. I got paid as well to talk for the EU, and then we left, and now I don't get paid for that anymore, so I'm not at all bitter. It's going to be a great show tonight, folks, because we've got some fantastic guests for you. We have the wonderful Alice Evans and the wonderful Lucy Wood, who are together part of the lABLEd podcast. And so let's say hello to you wonderful guests, Lucy and Alice. Hello.
We go Alice first. Let's slide Alice.
Let's go Alice. We can't do more disco things, can we? So hello, Alice. How are you?
I am all right. Thank you, Mick and Zec. How are you both?
Now we're alive.
Yes, luckily, because of course tonight's subject is the negatives and the positive, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I always say of disability. Luckily, we've I think we've all, looking at our various social media feeds, had one of those weeks where it's been a bit of a goody baddie. So it's going to be a fun chat. And of course, hello, Lucy. How are you?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you, guys. How are you? Thank you for having us.
No, thanks for coming on. It's going to be great. Now, I'm going to, because I'm lazy, I'm going to get you to introduce yourselves one at a time, and then we're going to talk about the lABLEd podcast and stuff. So I think it's only polite, and of course alphabetical, that we start with Alice first. So Alice, could you introduce yourself? Tell us a bit about yourself and tell the wonderful viewer all about yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alice. I am visually impaired, guide dog user, co-host of the lABLEd podcast, and I like books and coffee, and it's kind of it. Books, coffee, gin. Quite like gin. And similarly to Mick, can do a lot of talking. So this should be a fun old evening.
Well, I have actually been on the podcast, so I do know that you do. It's not one of those podcasts where you kind of ask a question and then it gets quiet. So you're going to fit right in here.
Yes,
now, Lucy.
Me and Lucy don't do quiet.
No, we don't do that.
No, I know. It was like there was three of us, and it was like three people just desperately trying to talk. So you're, like I said, going to fit very well in with this show. Now, Lucy, tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi, guys. I'm Lucy. I am also the co-host of the lABLEd podcast. I have cerebral palsy and use a manual wheelchair. I also blog under the name The Four-Wheeled Wonder Woman. Not as much as I used to, but I occasionally will post the odd bit and piece there. And I also, my day job, I work for Access Able, which provides detailed access guides for various locations up and down the UK.
So
that's ironic.
Yeah, that's
yes, I know.
So how did you get that role? So what do you do there? You're in marketing, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm marketing coordinator for Access Able. And the way I got the role, I lost my job previous to this one and couldn't find a job for love nor money. I got invited to join the volunteer network, the Access Able Ambassadors, or Champions as it was called then. And I went to an event and did some speaking for Access Able, and I happened to say to somebody, I'm really struggling to, not hoping they would give me a job, but I was just to like offload.
Yeah, right.
And I said, I can't find a job for love and money. And they said, oh, we'll have to see what we can do about that. 2 weeks later, they said, we're going to make a role for you in marketing if you want one.
Cool.
So that was how that happened.
Seems very classic you, Lucy. I haven't heard that story before, but Lucy's very much like, I'll just talk to this person and see what happens with it. She tends to have her finger in a lot of pies.
That's the result. The only time I've had a role made for me was in Subway.
Do you know I've never been in a Subway ever?
Haven't you?
Well,
Nope.
But it's quite funny because a lot of them aren't accessible.
That was exactly what I was about to say.
The circle line's okay.
Yeah. No, but I've never been in a subway. But yeah, so that's how I got that role at Accessable.
It's funny, actually, the number of jobs you get when you go in and go, "Gives a job, gives a job."
Yeah.
Admittedly, what's annoying is I'm and Zec, of course, we're old enough to remember that from the boys from the back stuff. But now, of course, the world is filled with people that have no idea what you're talking about. So I regularly write to people in the media and go, "Oh, hello, it's me. It's gives a job." And I know that they're like, "What is this strange cripple talking about?"
I saw something online that said 1970 was closer to 1914 than it is now, and I felt my bones creak.
Yeah.
Yes, done. I did a training course for a group of. I was hired to do a quick introduction to the social model for school kids. It was on Friday, and I thought it was going to be for like teenagers. And then just before I went on, they went, "Oh, you know, the kids are 5 to 8."
Oh,
so I had to change the whole thing, and I turned into, "Hello, I'm Mik, ex-Kids TV presenter." Kind of excited, but at the same time trying to get across very complex ideas in a way you can understand. Just imagine if you wheel up to a flight of stairs, you can't get up them, but if there's a lift, you can. That's the social model. Oh, that's really interesting.
I went to a school, and it was a senior school, and I was given a talk, and I got there, and they were sixth formers, and there was one just stood there, and I said, "Well, do you want to take a seat?" And she said, "Well, I'm the teacher."
Don't. I did a thing at my old school. They were having a day about getting everyone to try disability sports. Why they asked me to go, other than the fact that I was the only, there's Paul Carter came from my school. He'd have been a much better bet, but they asked me to come up and do the kind of celebrity bit. It's not filled with famous people.
He
Paul
worked
Young,
for the BBC, you know.
So yes, so you too one day could be this much of a weirdo. So I turn up, and there's this guy there who's a wheelchair user, and he's got this, what I think is a PA with him, who keeps doing everything for him. And I'm getting really annoyed, thinking, let him have a go himself, because he's not like profoundly disabled. He's no more less disabled than I am. So like she kept putting basket hoops in, and I was like, so in the end, we're playing basketball, and I grab her around the waist and say, "Look, let him have a go," right? And then a bit later, I'm handing out medals, and there's this same girl in her uniform. And it wasn't a PA, it was a schoolgirl who I grabbed, right? And she obviously fancied this boy and was trying desperately to impress him. And I just rained on her parade.
And that's it. Mik's not allowed near a school.
That's
now.
not allowed back to that school.
100 metres near a school.
And now when Mik moves house, he has to go around and introduce himself to his
I
neighbours.
did. But it was like, you're at that age where you have no idea. Are you a teacher? Are you a tutor? It's gone. It's like so sad. Anyway, moving swiftly on before I get any in trouble. Tell us about the label.
Go on, Alice. Butt in.
Tell us about something sensible.
I was just gonna say that in my new job, I weekly go to a college where I am supposed to deliver health awareness training to a group of 17 to 21-year-olds, and I have never felt so old before in my entire life. I just like standing there, and we were having a conversation about celebrities, and they didn't know who Kate Price was.
That's a good thing.
It's when they don't remember that MZTV used to be PJ and Duncan. Like
I'm just standing there like I'm not
PJ and Duncan, Mik.
old enough to be a mum. Leave me alone.
Yeah, you two can just move over. Yeah. When you're so old, like when you're old enough that actually PJ and Duncan or Ant and Dec actually came up to you once and said, "Oh, we used to watch you when we were a kid," and it's like, oh, for God's sake, right? When you're old enough, when you meet people, and not only are you now old enough to be their parents, as we are to you two, right? But then you meet people and go, "Oh no, now I'm young enough to be their grandparents," and then you realise that they've got kids, and then you're, oh. No. And it's really depressing. So talk about something happy. Talk about the lABLEd podcast. Tell us, how did you get together? What is it? And where can people find it?
So I was on the way home from my last trip out before lockdown, and I was sat in the back of the car thinking to myself, do you know, I think I could do a podcast. So I put a tweet out on Twitter and said, well, if anybody would anybody listen to a podcast about disability, me prattling on for like half an hour? And loads of people said, yeah, do it. And then Alice appeared. Don't follow Alice. Alice appeared when I want to do a podcast. Do you want to do one with me? So I was like, yeah, all right. So we had a chat on the phone for an hour or hour and a half. I think I did most of the talking, and it went from there, really, didn't it, Al?
Yeah. I like podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I've been listening to several like this one in particular, and I was like, I could do this. This is it. I could do this. It's not hard. And then I saw Lucy's message, and I'd been like scrabbling around all of the friends that I had. Who wants to do a podcast with me? And they were all like, no, we have much more interesting things to do with our time. And I was like, oh, this stranger on the internet might do a podcast with me. And unfortunately, Lucy was as sad and lonely as I was. So, it all sort of went from there. And then we got to the point where we're like, we can't just leave this alone now. We've got to. Yeah, we spent 6 months talking about it, and then eventually actually started doing it. And ever since then, I have regretted I could do a podcast. This is really easy, because it is a lot of work. It's just a lot of fun. But I talk to Lucy more than I talk to my husband, because there's usually something kicking off somewhere that we've got something to do.
Have we remembered to do X, Y, Z? No.
No.
You do a one take. So is it just a one take? This is what it is. Tough. I'm not editing it.
No, we do have an editor.
We do have an editor, yeah, but
So
we don't.
We started off with an editor on Disability Horizons TV, Zec, and after the first show, which took forever, and he had to cut it down to 45
3
minutes.
days.
He just said, I'm never doing that again. We're doing it live, and that's the end of it. And so
Right.
that's why it's not that we're some kind of brave heroes going into live performance and going, yes, we can do it. It's just to save him too much work.
I mean, the only reason
we
we've
do
got an
have to have
editor.
Yeah.
I was just going to say the only reason that we've got an editor is because I was talking to my close group of friends about this chick I'd met on the internet, and we were going to do a podcast, and I was like, but I don't know how we're going to do this and this. And Adam went, I'll edit it for you if you want. I was like, yes, awesome. Someone else who would do something for free.
Yeah, I must admit, I've been talking about doing a podcast for ages. One, like you both, I feel that just having one person talk
and
would be
also
mind-numbingly boring. But also, I don't know. It will happen, but I don't know. I don't know when.
I was about to release a podcast next week with just me talking, and I'm kind of thinking about it now. You said it'd been mind-numbingly boring.
I think it depends on how long it is, doesn't it? I mean, if you do it for like 3 hours, then yeah. If you do it for half an hour or something, it's all right.
No,
Alexi Sale gets away with it. It's just him talking about rubbish for ages.
Yeah, we record our episodes for about an hour and a half.
Wow.
Yeah, we record our episodes for about an hour and a half. So we can.
Yeah, great though. I love your podcast. It's fantastic. I mean, I would do. I was on it, but you know. Now,
is that your favourite episode, Nick?
No, of course. No, I can't bear to listen to myself. But you have just celebrated a birthday, haven't you? Is it your first year that you've been?
First year, yeah. First year.
In fact, we are now 13 months and 3 days old.
Ooh,
we're toddlers. We're toddlers.
Yeah. And that, of course, brings me, look at this, Mr. Professional, to the meat of today's discussion, which is the positives and the negatives, the good, the bad, and the ugly of being disabled. Because you can't say too much, because this is going out live, and tomorrow you're going to make a TV news item about it. So you're keeping your powder dry for tomorrow. But you went out and experienced one of the more annoying bad sides of being disabled, didn't you? When you went to celebrate your 1 year anniversary. Tell us about that. If, as much as you can leave out all the meat, if you know what I mean, the detail, but just go, this is what happened.
Change the names to protect the innocent.
Guilty.
Al, do you want to take this one? Yeah, you take this one.
Yeah. So I live in Leicestershire for my sins, and I spotted that a annual comedy festival in Leicester was had a number of disabled acts on this year, and being the over keen loser that I am, I was like, oh my god, Lucy, we should go. And before she'd even responded to me, I'd spent 60 quid on tickets. And then I was like, hey, why don't we make, you know, this into a thing in the podcast? Let's celebrate our birthday. Let's take a listener to see one of these disabled acts, and ran with it, all very excited, picked our competition winner. And then I had a conversation with my husband about the venue, because I'm a lot more indoorsy than him. I like I said, I read. He goes to like scary metal gigs, and so he'd been to see one of his scary metal bands in this venue, and he was like, isn't that going to be in the basement? And I was like, no, I've been there once and it was on the ground floor when I was there. And he was like, yeah, no, all the gigs are in the basement. So I spent 2 weeks trying to get hold of the venue and organisers and couldn't hear anything. Eventually went down to the venue, eventually learned that, in fact, yes, the gig would be in the basement, which would mean that it's not wheelchair accessible. However, it is only a short flight of stairs. So
that's all right then.
Yeah.
It's those long stairs we can't handle.
Like I could just turn my legs on and off, you know?
Yeah.
One of
So
those
that's where we sort of found ourselves, and then we decided to release an episode to talk about it.
Because that's the thing, isn't it? That's one of the because it's like bad for Lucy, and it would be bad for Zec and me. It's not quite so bad for yourself, but it's bad for you because this is one of the things that always happens. They go, oh, well, are you a wheelchair user? And you go, no, but I'm bringing a friend who is. And it's that idea of having to spend that much time going, hey, I need to know, is it accessible? And no answer, or the answer of, well, yeah, there is, but you know, some steps, but we'll get you in. How will you do that then? Magic. So
can you give me can you carry me on your shoulders? Up and down
or it has that wonderful disability logo. We're accessible, and what they mean is the foyer.
Yeah. The car
well,
park.
the car. And ironically, because this is it, I'll just say to all of our wonderful viewers, join in with the chat that we've got, join in with the comments, tell us your good and bad stories about being disabled and we can read them out. Because my first experience of ever going out in a wheelchair was very similar. I turned up at a cinema and it was no, sorry mate, you can't come in. Oh, and I moaned at the poor bloke that managed the cinema, and within about a month he'd adapted it.
Wow.
So this was in 1981, by the way. So yes, but in 1981. So it shows that I was misled to believe that things would be a lot better by the year 2022 than they are. I was an avid reader at the time of 2000 AD comic and believed that there'd be robots and Judge Dredd and Strontium dogs and all that. And instead what we've got is a mobile phone and still...
We've got Alexa and Judge Rinder.
You see, this is why I love Zec. You see, he stays, he's quiet, and then he just shoots you down with some excellent stuff. It's like,
I mean, the disappointing thing about this, what really winds me up, is when it's, you know, fair enough, you overlooked it, but it's when family do it. Family or friends book a venue, and they don't even bother to check. I've had it before. Oh, it's all right. We'll all be outside most of the night. It's got a cover. And then they go, right, everyone, we're going to make a toast and cut the cake. And they all buggered off indoors, 1 a.m, freezing cold. And I'm outside thinking, oh, okay. Couldn't have a wee.
Because I would definitely say,
if it helps, at my wedding, I spent most of my wedding outside having my photo taken. So when everybody else buggered off to make toasts, I was outside having my photo taken. So it's not just wheelchair users.
Well, we purposely booked fully accessible venues. I wonder why. Oh yeah, because I was getting married. But it was definitely. I agree. I've definitely been to loads of like events, family events, where it's like the worst one though is when they say they're accessible and they miss out that they don't have a toilet.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then you have to sit cross-legged all that, or limiting how much you drink. That.
I went to a club and we'd rung up and they went, yeah, it's all accessible. Don't worry. And when we We got there, having a drink, lovely. And I went, right, where's your loo? And they went, it's down that little narrow corridor and then to the left. And I went, well, I can't get my chair down the corridor. And they went, oh, that's funny, because we've got a bloke that gets here and he parks his chair and gets up and walks. It's the walking bit that's the giveaway, isn't it? You see? And so then the manager went, oh, I'm really sorry. Can I buy you a drink to make up for it? It's like, no, because I'm absolutely busting. Of course, Diane and all the rest of the gang all took their free drink, which meant I was still later to the toilet. So by the time I got home, I was blue. But there we go. That should put up with it. So what I think we should do is we've done that bit. We've very well. I think you've brilliantly skirted over all the details so that your news item is catching people fresh. So watch out for it tomorrow on ITV, isn't it?
We think it might be tomorrow, yes, but
we're filming tomorrow.
Yeah, we're filming tomorrow.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what, I'm going to go around everybody and say, what's the one thing, the one negative thing about being disabled? We've done crap access. We know that's crap. So what's the one negative thing about being disabled that really bugs you? And I think I'm going to start with Zec.
Oh, bugger, I needed time to think.
All right, then in that case, I'll start with Alice and move to Zec. That's it.
I'm prepared.
I'm going to start with whoever wants to shout, yes, I've got something, sir. See, now they've all gone quiet. This is live, folks. You can't just sit there and go, well.
Oh, go on then. I'll tell you what.
Go on then.
The negative for me isn't the physical disability that affects me. It's the mental. That mental fatigue that I struggle with the most. I will put up with massive amounts of pain and all crap like that. But when I get really brain fried to such a level where I'm so tired I can't even look at a screen or sounds drive me mad, I go fetal. I'm just in tears. I'm awful. I just can't cope. I hate that. That's the worst one for me from a physical point of view, like of my disability.
And I think as well, sorry, Mick, but I think as well,
go on, Lucy.
It's the whole sort of like mentally having to say to people all the time, you know, like the mental toll of having to say to people all the time, this is why I struggle. This is, and then, you know, the often brick wall we get of, it's not really a problem, is it? And you think that, but it is, like, you know.
Hope feel better soon.
Yeah, and it kind of. I think it's like being an advocate can sometimes be like wading through treacle, and you think that you're banging your head against a brick wall. And I think that for me, sometimes you think, why am I even bothering? Because you just think, I can't keep repeating myself. How long do I have to keep repeating myself before somebody goes, no, I get it. It's fine. I get it. It's all right. We hear you, and we're going to sort this. I think that sometimes gets me.
That's the thing. Do you know what? If I was going to say anything about that mental anguish stuff, that's the thing that because I mean, you imagine, like I said, the first time I did it was 1982, early 1982. So I was just 17, and I am 56. I'm 57 this year. So it's been 40 years of, can I come in, please? Can I? Yeah. And I mean, so much so I've made it my job, just like you have. We've made it our jobs telling people about access. And you're like, I'm actually going to die. Things have killed me shit. I generally thought I'd have a flying robot chair and there'd be jetpacks. And instead, I'm still going to be outside going, do you have a toilet? And it's like, fuck's sake. So, you know, excuse my French. Sorry, it's live and it's up, not after the night, not before the watershed. Anyway, it's online. We can do what we like. So I can swear.
We've got someone coming here, Mick, who says, Mick, you will already know the fasts in York where the council have banned blue badge holders from city centre.
See this, right? This is the thing I think as well, is that we all have this experience of it chips away at you. And then every now and again, things happen and you just go, oh my God, it's getting worse again. And I think what's happening in York, and it's happening all around the country as well, that all these weird let's cut cars schemes are just really targeting disabled people. In York, they've banned blue badge holders from the city centre, saying it's a security risk, as if, you know, there's an army of blue badge holding terrorists driving around. I mean, the way it's going, there will be. But it's like, so and I think they had a festival last weekend or something to celebrate this, and you couldn't get in if you were disabled.
Oh, Jesus
it's like, what? So
it's tiring, like Mick says, it's tiring, isn't it?
What's it like for you, Alice? As someone that's visually impaired, it's kind of a slightly different set of barriers, but they're all still barriers.
Yeah, I think it's interesting in terms of, and that's one of the things this whole sort of comedy festival debacle has made me quite conscious of is the kind of element of, I suppose, privilege of just being able to walk. That there is definitely an element of sometimes when things get a bit much for me, I can just get up and get out. Whereas, you know, in terms of, or, you know, the opposite, I can just go in somewhere, and that's not necessarily something that's an option for wheelchair users. But I think, and I think the thing about for me, when I think about the sort of barriers that I face versus the sort of barriers that people who are wheelchair users experience, for me, it's not necessarily about getting into places, but there's quite often an element of, you know, I can walk in the door somewhere, but I just don't want to be there because of the amount of work that I'm going to have to do to be able to kind of make use of the place. I was thinking about it when I was in the supermarket the other day, and I'm there with my guide dog, and then I'm trying to I was trying to pick a hummus because I am that white middle class person.
That was when I rang you. I was ranting at you, and you were like, "I'm trying to pick some hummus. Can you go away, please?"
And so I've got my dog, and I've got my basket, and I've also got my reader thing that I have to use to be able to see what I'm doing. And then I've also got to have a hand free to hold the hummus so that I can put my reader over it. But then I'm also blocking the 6 people behind me who are like, I just want to get some coleslaw, move. And it's just, there's a definite element of sort of feeling like an inconvenience, feeling like you're in the way when trying to make things accessible for yourself, trying to have that kind of level of independence. That I think
I had a good one, Alice. In our road, I'd come back from shul one Saturday. It was pouring rain, and I said to my wife, "I'm going to go and film that." She said, "It's chucking it with rain." I said, "I can't resist." A car was parked with its rear wheels in the road and its front all the way across the path at a diagonal. It was the worst. I mean, we get them parking on the path, so I wheeled down, and I'm filming like the number plate because I'm going to send it off. And this guy comes out, typical A6 lad out of house. "What's your effing problem? I'm doing some bloody work in here. You could just ask." I said, no, you don't get it. You're in there. This means I've got to go out in the road. He goes, "You can bloody see it." I said, "Right, what if somebody came along with a sight impairment?" And he went, "Well, the bloody dog could see the car, wouldn't they? They'd see it. It's a big enough bloody car." I said, "What? And the dog would know which house you're doing your plastering in, would it?" And he went, "Oh, you're just being awkward." I said, "No, you've parked like a knob." And he just couldn't. Yeah, he just couldn't get the fact that he had blocked this path. Not only for people with disabilities, but mums with buggies, the whole lot. Round here, that's the big problem. So, I mean, how you get around stuff
Do you
like
know
that?
what?
Because
I think that's the root of all of this whole mental stuff that we're talking about, this kind of drain. It's not like lots of people kind of go on about disabilities and think about your impairment, your issues, your condition, whatever. But I mean, I'm a big social model fan. Like, hooray, love it. And I genuinely think that the attitude of either, "I can't be bothered, it doesn't matter, we don't get enough of them," or "Oh, you're getting in my way," or "You're being annoying," or the other one, of course, is the "Oh, it's all right for you, you get all those perks like a blue badge and a free car and a free house and a jetpack," and you're like, "No, we don't get any of those." No. You know, "Oh, look at your," you know, and it's that constant stuff. It's funny because Avril here is talking about people that can't see stuff like chronic pain and hidden impairments. And Alice, I bet you're the same. If it wasn't for the dog, they'd be like, I bet they come out and go, "What do you need that for? Because you don't look visually impaired." Like, sorry, I don't have a big visually impaired hat on.
On a daily basis, when I go out with my guide dog, I get asked if I'm training her, and I have to go, "No, she's my guide dog. I'm legally blind." And then people go, "Oh, wow, you wouldn't know. You don't look." And I go, "Oh, I don't look like what? Please tell me what I don't look like."
Honestly,
it would be a nice
when I met Alice for the first time, Alice had told me prior to us meeting that she gets it all the time. And to a certain extent, like, it wasn't that I didn't believe her, but I was like, oh, yeah, okay. I bet she gets like it occasionally. But we were sat in a restaurant for about 2-3 hours, maybe, and at least 4 people in that space of time were like, oh, God, the dog. And then was like, oh, you training her? Oh, I'm like, and the other question that I got was, could you watch my bags, please? And Alice was like, is that because you can't run off with them?
I used to be the coat rack. When we used to go clubbing, all my friends, all Diane's mates would go, here you go, Mick. And I remember once the song came on and I went, I've got to go to the dance floor. And I went to wheel forward and I got so many coats I couldn't actually move. I was just covered in coats in the back and I didn't know because they'd been shoving them down the back of a chair. It's like, thanks a lot, girls. That's lovely.
Yeah. Yeah. But
I go mad if someone uses my chair, like puts a bag on it or something, even when they're around. They went, you're not sat in it. No, just
do you not get people patting you on the head? I get it all
I think
the while.
I scare people.
Well, because my hair, as you know, is a masterpiece and takes a lot longer than people understand. And they always come out and go, all right, mate, and do that on your head. And you're like, people have actually lost arms that way, which is
I was going to say, you should bite them.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody's patted me on the head. They always seem surprised that I work and I have a job. When they say, oh, do you work? And I go, yeah. And they go, oh, wow, it's so nice that they've given you a chance, isn't it? And I'm like, what? No, like they can't compute the fact that I work and I earn my own money. And it's just, you think, what? Where does my legs not working automatically like mean that I'm incapable of holding down a job?
I always love it when I send a client my quote.
Yeah.
And they go, how much? And I go, what's the going rate? And they go, what, really? And I go, well, what you've got to understand is you need me more than I need you to see how much I'm earning.
See, I think I get treated fairly okay because, you know, my wife says I never look happy. I always look mean. I in fact, got in trouble at one job many years ago because they said I look aggressive. And I'm like, no, that's my face.
I must admit, I used to find it was much easier when I was in the full Mad Max gear. I'd wheel down the street with the knee pads and all the studded jackets on and that, and everyone would get out of my way. And more casual I've got, and the more like an old grumpy bloke in jeans I've got, the more people won't get out of my way. And
is that what I need to do, mate?
Yeah, we all need to dress up like we've come from Mad Max, and then that'll be it. And it'll be a whole new look.
Really mean and scary.
And what we can do is we can design the look and then sell it direct, accessible clothing for Mad Maxophiles. And it'd be brilliant. But I once went for a part in a BBC series playing a murderous bank manager. So I thought, right, so I dyed my hair brown, I wore glasses, a shirt and a tie and the whole lot. And I spent a week as a bank manager trying to fight. I was trying to go method. It wasn't a good idea. Anyway, I was walking down the street. This was in Shepherd's Bush. I was wheeling down the street down Shepherd's Bush Road. And someone stepped out of a shop. And the shop had quite a big step. And rather than stop, he stepped over and put his foot between my legs on my wheelchair and then just stepped over me. I was like, what the... I've never been so badly treated as I was that week when I looked like a bank clerk with glasses and a shirt and just normal. And I was like,
if you had been a murderer, that would have been a perfect opportunity.
Exactly.
That's why they're murderous.
That's it. Well, that was what I was trying to say to the casting director was, you don't understand. Now I know what it's like. I can understand why he's a murderer. In fact, I might actually start it myself. But anyway,
I went to Legoland with some friends of ours and their kids. And obviously I couldn't get on the ride. So I was sort of sat there waiting for them to get off. And a man with a grabber picking up the rubbish was like sort of picking up the litter. And instead of asking me to move, he put his grabber underneath my chair and was firking around under my chair. And I was just like, what the hell are you? Just ask me to move and I will move. What are you doing? Like, what? Hello, I'm here. I can speak. Quite ridiculous.
Well, I once was at a club, a strange and slightly weird fetish club. And I was just sitting talking to my girlfriend, she's now my wife, and we were having a chat, and all of a sudden I thought, what's that into my chair? And there was a bloke licking my tyres.
Oh!
And I went, you don't want to do that,
licking
mate.
them.
Licking them. And I said, you don't want to do that, mate, because you don't know where they've been. Like, we all know tyres, not good. And he went, oh, God. And then licked them more. And then he went, will you run over my groin?
What?
So he laid down
Funny,
and
mate, I was about to do it for
reversed
free.
onto his groin in my chair because apparently he was into rubber, and of course the tyres are rubber. So
Yeah.
and
I
and
hope you
think
charged him a fortune for it.
I didn't, but I should have done. And that's going to bring me on, you see, to the good
the
side.
positives.
Being disabled.
Segue.
Because we've only got 10 minutes left, and I want to get some good things in. I don't know whether
No,
that's
we're going
good
to
or
run
bad.
over. Come
That's
on.
just weird, to be honest. But what do you think being disabled is brought?
Hang
to
on,
your
how
life?
does somebody licking your tyres bring us on to the good points of disability? I've just realised.
Well, I'll
Sorry,
tell you what, it saved me cleaning them, that's for sure. It also proves all these people that go, oh, I can't find anyone, it's because I'm disabled. You're like, well, I know of at least one bloke that might not be into you, but we're really into your wheelchair. But I think that's what I think my positive from being disabled is actually kind of, one, I don't take life too seriously, as you can tell.
No.
In fact, I was talking to a doctor recently, and he said, you don't seem to take any of this very seriously. It's like, I know I might be dying, but it's fun, isn't it? You stop being so light-hearted. But also that you kind of see the stupidity in it all, because you know how precious and wonderful life is. And I see a lot of non-disabled people wondering about not really seeing how wonderful it is and wasting their lives. And you think, you don't know. One day you'll wake up and it'll all be a bit less wonderful. And then you'll go, shit, I should have enjoyed it. So that's my thing.
I get like migraine. Oh.
Yes.
Is that one come on?
Oh.
No?
Yeah, sorry. No, I was just going to say, I get...
She's doing two things at once there, I feel.
I get migraine.
She's looking up weird blokes that lick rubber wheelchairs for Lucy on the side.
She's found Mick.
Migraines, Alice. Migraines.
Yeah,
Migraine.
Yeah, I get migraines that basically put me in bed for like 24 hours, and they're related to my disability. And I can remember saying to my mum once, I was like, I just don't do stuff I don't like, because like, why am I going to waste my precious not in bed, being able to see and in pain and like not just wishing I was dead time doing stuff I don't like, when I know that that's just around the corner.
Yeah.
So it's definitely given me a I don't take shit from life sort of attitude.
And I think for me, being a disabled person has meant that we are great problem solvers.
Yeah.
So we live in a society that isn't made for us. The society would rather we are hidden away most of the time. And I think our act of defiance is getting out there and enjoying life, and being able to sort of get around the barriers that people put in our way. Because I'm like, you're telling me I can't go to the pub, you just watch me. If somebody tells me I cannot do something, I will do it 10 times over and over again. And I think it's that ingenuity and that willingness to never kind of like, just because there's a problem, like we don't automatically give up in the first instance, do we? We just kind of like, I'm sure there's a way around this. So yeah, I think
we tend to find it. That's the bit I think it's most important.
Yeah.
Everyone I know that's disabled, a problem will happen, and they'll go, right, how can I fix this? And then they do it. And it might be right for them. It might not be right for someone else. Although I do think now we're talking more on social media. I think we're all starting to help each other out. It's a whole brave new world now where you go, I've got this problem. About 1,000 people write in with different solutions. And you go, oh, I like that one.
Signal, isn't it? Oh, help, I can't.
Oh, no, so that's another whole superhero thing, isn't it? Crit man. Crit person, not going to gender it. And that's brilliant.
It's a 4-wheel Wonder Woman. That's what that is.
That's it. Yes,
there you go.
You. Now, Zec, what about you? What benefits have you got? Because I'm going to you are going to have a word here, and it might.
I am. I'm quite happy. I'm quite happy to sit in the background today. Do you know what I mean? I would have probably been all right. At the moment, I'm struggling with the positives. I've got to admit, old Zec's being a little bit Eeyore at the moment. I'm struggling with all the rising prices and all the crap that's going on. And I have to admit, it's getting me. And I've been feeling really mortal lately. I've been laying in bed going, I'm going to die. You know, and I wasted all those years because, you know, I've only been a wheelchair for 12 years. And so I'm now looking back on my life and going, I wasted all that fucking time. You don't realise how good you got it. So, no, I'm afraid I'm being a bit all doom and gloom at the moment. I suppose it's caused me to slow down. I think I'm a bit of a better person than I was before. But, you know, slowing down. I mean, going back to the first episode, I mean, you have to bring it up. We talked about sex relationships. My biggest fear when I become disabled was, no, sex. And it actually turned out that it was like, caused me to slow down, think things out, and it's a whole lot better than it was before.
Yes.
You may ask Mrs. Richardson; she may say something different. But Mr. Richardson,
we of course are all going to say that, aren't we? We're all going to say, well, look, obviously, sex with disabled people is obviously going to be better because we're just much better lovers. And then the next episode, we can have Welcome to Disability Rising TV, the partners episode, and then they'll all be going, yeah, no. But that's that looking on the positive side of life again, you know.
I mean, the disabled community, I have to say, the people I've got to know within the community has been absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think that's the thing. Yeah, I think that's the big one is that it's funny because when I was young, it wasn't a community. and I was, I mean, this is long before you two, Alice and Lucy, were probably born, but there was this, it wasn't so much of a community. There was a community, but it was very proactive, very political. You know, it was very much about protest and handcuffs and to buses, not handcuffs in clubs. That's a whole different thing that I was more into. But anyway, and someone sent me a picture of me in an old fetish club looking gorgeous, and now I'm just thinking about all the glory days I had when I was young and beautiful. But
having your tyres leaked.
The tyres leaked, yes. Yeah. So it saves a fortune on toothbrushes because that's how I have to clean them now.
Yeah, I sit in the bath with mine.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a handy tip, folks. If you need to clean anything off your toilet, if you need to clean anything off your wheels, you know, horrible nastiness, toothbrush in the bath, little bit of shower, clean it over, lovely, always works.
Right. Okay.
So there we go.
I'm going to try that, Mick. I'll try that.
Not so good for guide. Not so good for guide dogs.
Does it work for a guide dog that's rolled in fox shit when you've been out? So that's usually me in the garden and just buckets of water.
You know what, Alice? It took me a moment to realise you said fox shit.
No, but Mick knows a guy who would lick that off.
I probably do, but we won't go into that. I'm actually going red underneath all this makeup from talking about my sordid life. What I want to do, just before we end, one, I'm going to say, but you two are going to join our stable of presenters, I hope, because I know we were discussing it. Would you like to become one of the DHTV presenters and take turns? You could do it together one time, we'd do it in bits. Or are you so busy that you kind of go, we'll come on as guests, but, you know, probably should have had this conversation off camera, really, but I'm trying to just get you to do it, get you to say yes on camera.
No pressure. No pressure.
I think we can probably squeeze it in.
Yeah,
excellent.
So.
No, it won't be every week or anything. It'll be now and again. We're going to build up a stable of presenters. That's brilliant. That's why I like to hear.
Can I just say what will really help is if people go and listen to our podcast and like it, and then leave rate and review and subscribe or donate to our GoFundMe, because then me and Lucy will have more time because we won't have to do those pesky job things that we have.
What's the website address? Can you give me the website address top of your head and I'll put it up as a banner?
It's www.labelledpodcast.co.uk.
Labeled is spelled, for those who don't know, is lABLEd, because we are lABLEd.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it is like labelled, it's not lABLEd or something. Because I was thinking, are you being all a bit European?
No.
Oh, hello.
No.
We are
it's a bit of a regret, really, because we now have to spell it every single time.
Yeah.
But when we finally agreed on a name, we were like, let's not do this anymore. This is too much.
Yeah, it's easy with hindsight, isn't it? Because I mean, I like with my website, sat on my butt, I called it. I thought it was really funny 12 years ago, and now years down, I'm like, ah.
Well, I always just call everything Mick Scarlett because I'm vain and egotistical. Now, before we before we
Mick, everybody knows who you are.
That's
yeah,
true.
but you know, only because I keep labeling myself. You know, Mick Scarlett, Mick Scarlett, it's Mick Scarlett's this, it's Mick. Every time if you watch anything I do on YouTube or anything, I go, "Hello, I'm Mick Scarlett," and it's like, all right, you said it on every single thing you've ever done, but that's fine. Which it's actually time we're meant to be ending now, but I'm not going to end yet. I'm going to say one more thing. I'm going to say, can you all give one thing that you think is bizarre about being disabled? I want to get the weirdness in. What's the one thing that you go, what? Every time it happens?
How can we compete with what you've already said?
What? Tire licking? Nah, it doesn't happen a lot though. It's not a common thing. There are common things that happen. So
I'm gonna go with the like I get the are you training them question all the time, but I do very frequently get very weird questions about my dog. Like people ask, I legitimately had a long conversation with somebody on the bus once who was like, how do you pick up after the dog's poo if you can't see? And I was like, I mean, like how do you pick up if your dog goes to the toilet in the dark and you can't see? Like it was just, and she was like, oh, but what if you can't smell? And I was like, so you do, or you know, where does your dog, what do you do with your dog when you go to the toilet? And I'm like, I mean, it kind of depends where I am. If I'm at home, I can't shut the door because she sits outside it and complains. So mostly I wee with her chin on my knee, if you really have to know. But that's the bizarre thing, is the weird questions people want to know about my relationship with my dog.
You know what? I bet that's what everyone says. It's the weird questions, because I know that was going to be mine.
Well, I think those weird questions they make for weird experiences, and so because we've had weird experiences, we're brilliant dinner party guests. If you get me on Come Dine With Me, I'm going to win. Yeah, you know what I mean? Weird dinner party stories.
I got offered the chance to go on that, and I didn't want to, because I'm not having them look around my house because of, you know.
Yeah, I was going to say it's the going around the house.
Don't look in mixed drawers.
That's where that bloke is. He shut that bloke.
Yeah, that's it. He's actually chained up. He's actually in a cupboard in the corridor. Like
he's in the bath with a toothbrush,
waiting eagerly with a smile. I must be. I always think what happened to you?
Yeah, that's
like,
yeah.
And because it's funny, someone online was saying, weren't they? Oh God, I'm so fed up with that. What do you say? And because I grew up in Luton, and so I always used to tell people that I was sunbathing one day and a lump of blue ice fell off an aeroplane and disabled me, because I just wanted to say to everyone I was disabled by frozen shit. But
I like
go,
that.
Really?
I like to tell lies. I tell people that I was. It was like a freak chemical spill. Things like that, you know, like superhero origin stories, but like it made me go, oh, I was at Chernobyl. Is that a bit
tree fell on my legs and I got stuck like in a storm. I got stuck and they rescued me, and now I can't walk. I
will tell you though, a little tip: if you want to stop the conversation, just do what I now do, because I had cancer, so I just go cancer, and then they go.
Unless it's a Jimmy Carr audience and they laugh.
But they just stop and go, and then back away, terrified, because they don't want to go, so have you still got it?
Yeah. So how was that for you?
I keep asking if I've ever been a Paralympian.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah.
I mean, I've got boobs, you know. I mean, I've never moved quick. Unless biscuit eating is a Paralympic sport.
I've always said, if they make sitting on the sofa, sofa surfing, biscuit eating, cake eating, or avoiding sport a sport, I'm there.
Absolutely. Totally.
Well, there you go. I suppose you've come to one of those hiatus moments where we're all a bit kind of, there you go. That was 50 minutes. I'm getting a bit bored now. So it's 5 minutes over time. So I think we've done brilliant. So
it's not over time because we don't really set a time.
No, we don't. We just go until people go, poor old Val's going, why don't you advertise this a bit more so I won't turn up late? Sorry, Val, we've been shouting about it on social media all week.
Yeah, we're on Facebook, Disability Horizons TV, or it's on the Disability Horizons page. It's on our Twitter, which is
Twitter.
Something.
Twitter.
Hang on, I've got a banner for
We don't actually have an Instagram account yet, do we? We should set up an Instagram for Disability Horizons. Yeah, no, that's something else we need. If you want to be our social media person, please contact us. Because I do Twitter, but I can't stand Instagram. And I don't know how to disconnect it from my Facebook. So it keeps
I was
popping
asked
up.
if I would do TikTok. Someone
Yeah,
said
no, I
it
got
was,
told that at a party.
it was
the other day.
Disability Horizons.
I'm too old for TikTok. I do not
Yeah.
understand it. I do not
They said,
understand it.
Disability Horizons, would you do TikTok for us? And I looked at it and I come back and said, no, I'd be like an old man at a prom party. That would just be...
I think we should do a space show. I think we should do TikToks on purpose. Do old people TikTok. Hello, what's this? I don't know what's going on. What button do I push? Is that it? Oh, and then that's all they are. It's just a series of.
Where am I?
Where's the camera? What is that? Is it over? And then dancing to a weird song. The one I don't get is the one. Is it Instagram with all the filters? And then the people just going. And they video themselves with a filter going, oh my God, this is a filter. And you're like,
no, it's the lip syncing I don't get. My daughter has sent me a video and just go, ha ha, and there's someone lip syncing to a phrase from a movie that I don't know. I'm like, right, okay.
Yeah. At this point, we've definitely descended into we're really old time. So we think we're really flash because we're doing podcasts and live video chats. And we could be on TikTok earning millions selling stuff to people we don't know. And
Katie says she's on TikTok.
Yeah, all right, Katie. Well, you come on soon and you can tell us all about TikTok because you can teach us.
The only TikTok I do is my clock.
It's just
that was terrible.
I tell you how old I am. But, in the beginning, Mick said, after this, we're going to... And he said Wagamamas, but I thought he said Waggy Mummies. And I hadn't got a clue what a Waggy Mummies was.
That's a whole other type of club, but we won't go into that either. Anyway, I've just got to say, folks, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to say thank you so much to Lucy and so much to Alex. Thank you to Zec again for making all the magic happen. We will be back again in 2 weeks. It may be a different set of presenters because we will see if we can convince Lucy or Alex to join us, or maybe they'll just take and one of us will go and have a holiday. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to the hospital tomorrow.
Come back again.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, you're at hospital
I never want to be on that bloody program again. They're awful. Yes, I'm going to hospital tomorrow to find out whether or not I'm going to be rebuilt again.
Oh, good luck,
so,
Mick.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's just, that was one of the negative, positive, I don't know bits. All I know is that I'm actually worth about £250,000 of scrap because the amount of titanium I've got in my body. So
it's going to be the Futurama head in a jar. We'll have Mick just in a jar.
The bit is,
just
eventually I'm going to be Wolverine.
I'm going to be.
It's going to be Wolverine. Soon the whole body will be adamantium and I'll be indestructible, which would be great. Just I'll be kind of a crap Wolverine.
More like Teen Wolf.
Do you know where the name Scarlet comes from? It comes from Captain Scarlet. When I was a kid, my mum always used to say to me, you're like Captain Scarlet, you're indestructible. And as I got older, I realised I am like Captain Scarlet. I am indestructible. I just always come out crappy. So every time I break, I come out more broken. So it's like, I'm never going to die, but I'm going to end up eventually just this kind of slug in a jar. We fixed you again, Mick. Thanks, that's great. And with that cheerful thought, we are going to leave you. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. We'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye to you all, you wonderful people, Lucy, Alice, and Zec. And I'm Mick Scarlet. See you again next time, as you said. Bye.
It's Mick Scarlet.
I'm Mick Scarlet, you know. Did you know?